Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd and this week's episode of Crypto Corner Sat Stacker for Saturday, November 8th. Gonna try to keep this short, but in all honesty, I did not really want to make this video. I'm just kind of bored by crypto. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of boring, but I think it's important to follow up every week, go over the charts, go over where I think things are going to be going, where they could be finding support, where they could be bumping into resistance. And yeah, so I don't know, maybe that's kind of a signal that we're near a bottom or that we hit a bottom because I'm just like fatigued from this. I'm so tired of it. But, anyways, just going over some of the memes. There were some fun memes over the past week. And also, I should note, if you do enjoy these videos, let me know in the comments. They don't really get too many views, and I really just do them for myself to be accountable. But if you do enjoy them, let me know. But yeah, anyways, the memes. So there was a meme here after the one from, Halloween, right around Halloween, from which I believe I've posted some other memes from them. But this is just saying, welcome back. You've been in a coma for 5 years. And the guy is saying, what is the price of ETH now? 15,000? I bought it 3,200 in 2020. And so, it hasn't changed. And so it's just more people trashing ETH. I think it's a really good sign. I think that does suggest that, we could be near a bottom, just like over here when ETH was at 1,400, which is really like the basis of my thesis here, that we are bottoming there based on this confluence of levels, and that price would be going up to around 8,000 by the end of the year. Got less than 2 months now, so kind of, precarious. But with that being said, I did do the Happy ETHster video here. It's kind of the basis of the thesis, linked in the description. I will also pin it in the comments. And also, I did just kind of recently do a 4-minute update on my ETH thesis, a renewal of it. And we did, kind of test the lows there. So maybe it's a little bearish. But anyways, link description down below as well as pinned comments. And there is another meme up here that I'm pretty excited about. I was exchanging with a friend on X, and he was being a little bit bearish about Bitcoin, all this stuff. And I think the funny thing about markets is people are always most bearish, right here. They're never, the most bearish up here. That's where they're euphoric. And so when people are bearish, when you're seeing all these memes, sentiment on social media is generally that things are going to keep going down. That's when the bottom tends to be. And so I just, responded to him being bearish, with this little girl asking her dad, how do we get so rich? And then he just said, I BTFD'd in November 2025. So right now he bought the effing dip, and the sun's saying legend. And, I said a weekly opportunity in the making. I'm not exactly sure, but I think maybe he posted something about the weekly chart, thinking that, Bitcoin could be, bottoming. And, I kind of framed this as, weekly. We got to see where the week closes. I think that's going to be very important. And, also the monthly, we got to be thinking about things longer term. I've seen some posts from Mike McGlone on X where he's, pointing out some things that are very bearish, but based on the monthly or the weekly time frame, you got to see when those candles close, because it could just be a dip buying opportunity if we close above those levels. So very important there to be thinking about that. And also one other thing, something that was exciting that happened yesterday. I posted about this on X, but I'm sure most people did not see it. I'm actually going to have Ed step out of the way for this. And so I watch the Wolf of All Streets most mornings, and he's just reading the screen because he's looking down. He's looking down at me, is what it looks like. But I posted a comment, how's your Arch Public doing? And, it's basically like Bitcoin's plummeting, crypto's plummeting, and Arch Public is an algorithm to be buying on dips, trimming on rips, repeat, rinse and repeat, make some money. And so I knew that Scott Melker, pictured there, who is the Wolf of All Streets, wanted to be buying. and he was about to just buy at the top, or a top, a local top, and he decided to implement the Arch Public algorithms, has been buying on the dips and trimming on the rips, and that's better than buying the top. He's been able to grow his position as he wanted based on that. So I thought that was just a really cool example. And let's see, from that, this is a post that I put out that was just the screenshot from it. And, I had just asked him, how's your Arch Public doing? This is their account on X. And, I don't have an account with them, or I haven't implemented the algorithms, but that is something that I would like to do. And this is kind of, an inspiration for that. So what's my plan with that? I will talk about that in a minute. And then this is, of course, Scott Milker's handle. And so when I asked that question, he responded by absolutely crushing it. Scott said, he continued, I think I'm down 9% on the entire dip on the whole portfolio, while the market is down 27%, and was buying more this morning. And so he said that yesterday. He followed up with, it's amazing. And so I just said, in this post here, it's so cool to be featured, to see Ed on the screen there. I've never, had that experience. I've not commented, or I've commented on live streams, but I haven't been pulled up like that. So that's super cool. And I continue on to explain Scott's situation that he's, explained in the past. Is that because I watch him, I follow, and that Scott was going to buy a top because he wanted to add to his portfolio, but instead he turned on the Arch Public algos and has been buying the dips, trimming the rallies, and as a result has been outperforming the market while growing his position. I said, nice work. He was wondering if I was trolling during his stream, and I said, I was most definitely not trolling. And I think that, if you do watch the video from yesterday, I'll include a link in the description of this one. He seemed like he was, pretty tired of people, just being bearish. And, it's like that's, a bottoming signal. You can just hear, you can see how tired he was in that. And also on Fridays, he usually does have somebody else join him. So he has a little conversation with him doing the Friday 5 with NLW, whose name I think is Nathan. Anyways, that was just super cool. And so I just, close that with start your days with a cup of coffee and the Wolf of All Streets for insightful discussions with industry leaders and more great alpha. And so that is his channel if you want to follow along. But anyways, let's get into the charts and stuff. Let's get into the spreadsheet so we can really nerd out and I can update you on everything that happened last week. And so I did change some color codes and stuff. So I made pink for levels that were hit I did not have orders filled. But I did do some dip buying, so it was kind of an exciting week. I did buy Bitcoin at 102 and 100 via Coinbase, and I did transfer that to then my Strike account because once I can transfer I have to pay fees transferring out of Coinbase, but transferring out of Strike, I don't have to. And since I do have two wallets, the Model 1 and the Trezor Safe 3, I then disperse that evenly between the two wallets. So, I'm not, so centralized. I do have two of those wallets, storing that Bitcoin. So, that was super cool. I transferred that yesterday. I've also been doing daily DCAs for Bitcoin, $20 a day. Nothing really too exciting about that. And on November 14th, I'll be able to adjust my daily DCAs for free without having a fee for a week on Strike. And so I will then lower that to 10. But then I would like to kind of, phase that DCAing into doing some Arch Public algo trading on Robinhood. And so I think what I plan on doing with that at some point, I first need to get a TradingView paid account, a subscription to them, which I'll do around Black Friday. And with that, I am thinking, I'll maybe have $500 of Bitcoin in there. And then I'll have $1,000 to add to my Bitcoin, but then I have that $500 so that I can trim. And we'll see how that plays out. If it ends up with me just stacking more Bitcoin cheaply, that's great. If it ends up with me trimming, outperforming the market, while also stacking, that's also great. So I'll play around with that. I'll do a video on it documenting once I do that, but that will probably be in December, maybe around Christmas time. And yeah, so I will lower this to 10, but not just yet, still 20. And, part of that is relative to Ethereum doing $40 a day, doing the dip buys for Bitcoin. That kind of keeps me in balance. I'm being, just as aggressive with Bitcoin as with Ethereum, but I'm being a little more strategic with Bitcoin, only really buying those dips, being patient, waiting for them. But anyways, as you can see, all of these levels were hit over the past week, except for Trump. And so that, is kind of surprising. If we do look, I guess I'll talk about the prices in a second, but I just want to point out my percent P&L. I am basically down on all of my positions now. Ethereum is the best performer, as it's probably not surprising. I'm up 22% in my position with an average around 2,800. Next on the list is then going to be Bitcoin. I'm up 5% with an average around 98,400. Doge is now negative, so that's a little bit disappointing. But I do have one to kind of swap out for it, and that is Litecoin. If I just go over there so you can see it, Litecoin, I am at 0%, so flat. And this is all based on Friday's close, and then the market cap calculated from that based on the total supply. And yeah, I mean, all of these, other than that, are red. I'm down in a lot of my positions. I've been adding to my Dogecoin, which this ends up being about $100 a week. And I'm going to do another $100. And that is going to be then putting Dogecoin above RLC, which is iExec. So that's kind of my goal with that. I want to have more exposure to Doge than RLC, which is very speculative. And then kind of, with that same thought process, I want to have more exposure to Solana. I actually want Solana to be above Doge. And to do that, I am adding, 1428 per day, which ends up being around $100 per week. And so just so you guys can see that math, 1428 times 7 days in a week, it's around $100. And yeah, so doing that, adding that, I think it'll take a few more weeks before Solana overtakes Loopring and then moves up, and then it will probably take multiple months before Solana can overtake Doge. But once Doge overtakes RLC, moves up on the list here, then I'll probably swap the 1428 from Doge into Solana. So I'll average about $200 of Solana every week, probably beginning next week. So I'll share that with you guys. And so, just taking this math here, and let's actually do 14. Let's see. Let's see. 1429. Let's see what 1429 is. So 1429 times 2. 2858. Let's multiply that by 7. 206. So that's a little bit high. So what I probably want to do is 2857. 2857. And I'll do this math next week, I'm sure. But yeah, that puts me out right around $200 a week. And so this will get rolled into that. But with that being said, since I have already gotten, this, actually I was contemplating maybe I want to remove that 200 dip buy, which would be at, I think, 15 cents for Doge, which did not get hit, nearly got hit. I think I'm just going to leave that because I am getting, I think it's 3.85% APY on my USDC stablecoin that is stored in Coinbase. So I'm collecting that interest. I'm just going to leave the $200 there. That's fine. With Bitcoin, since I did buy 200, I still have, a $100 dip buy order. And so what I might do, I might just change the colors on these now, make that white, and then come back here. I need to make that yellow because I do need to make some adjustments to that. And I need to, I'll come back to it. I need to change it to 200 because there's another level I want to buy the dip at. $40 for Ethereum. Going to continue to do that with Robinhood. I just need to, add some more money to the account. So no big deal. I'm going to make that white. Actually, no, I'm going to make it yellow because I need my attention to it so I can calculate how much I need to add to these accounts for the next week. Doge, I already mentioned it, 1428. And so I think what I need to do is, I just need to make that not green, but yellow. So I pay attention to that. Coming down here, Solana, that just needs to be yellow again. So I make sure I have that amount of money in my account. Coming down the list, we got Fartcoin here. I've got some a limit dip buy at I think 20 cents that did not get hit. And then going below that, wherever it gapped down to on October 10th, it's so low I can't place an order, so that's why it's yellow, but I would put another 200 there. And then coming down here near the bottom is, let's see, Pengu. I've been doing dollar daily DCAs, but then I did get my dip buy at $7, or for $7, which was at 1.7 cents. It could have been a little bit lower, but it is what it is. And so, with all that being said, some of the ones that stand out, I'll go down the list and then talk about the ones that are unique that did go up, the green ones. And so, let's go over here to, look at Bitcoin and look at my list on the weekly. And we can see that, 102, that was hit. If we do go over to the chart, we actually hit a low on the 4th of $98,892.97. And so that's above 98. Maybe 98 doesn't get filled. Maybe I do want to add more Bitcoin. Maybe I want to get a little bit more aggressive. And maybe we could even do that if we do test 99,000. And maybe I could get a fill. And so I think that my support level for this is now going to be 99. And so I don't have to adjust anything there, although I'm going to make that yellow because I do want to, place the order. And so I'll have another limit dip buy there, and I will be earning interest on that USDC if the order doesn't get filled. So I think that's fine. And then just below that, 98,000, that hasn't changed. 100,000 was hit. And so that is, let's see, green there. But let's see, are we above or below 100,000 right now? Let's see, as I record this, so maybe what I want to do is, I'm not placing any orders. So I'm just going to make that 100,000, because I think it could be getting tested again. I'm just going to make that red. And so we have that to consider. But one thing that's going to be very important for Bitcoin is going to be close. I had mentioned, Mike McGlone and him talking about levels, but the candles aren't closed. So if we're below them now, but we close above them, that was a dip buying opportunity. And so looking over at the chart, I put this arrow here that was to kind of signify where the 50-week moving average is. So right here in blue, that's the 50-day moving average. So I'm just going to go up here to my moving average and adjust that to the week. And then we can see that 50-day simple moving average. We're currently below that, and that is right around 102,886, or let's just round that up to 102,900 or 103,000. So I'm going to say that 103,000 is probably the more immediate resistance, or maybe I should actually put that in. What's the 50? Let's see, 102,900. So before I do that, I should probably add the 135 over here. So 135K. Over there. So, we've got that. I think that's going to be some potential resistance. Not going to change that. But I think I should change this number to 103,000. That is a level we need to be closing above, on Sunday. So let's hope that we see that. We don't, and actually, Got the volume and all that stuff down there. We need to see a surge of volume push above that level. And so I still think that this could be a dip buying opportunity. We're just not there yet. And then, so let's see, I've got that updated. And then let's now continue on to ETH on the list. 3,800, oops, was hit, it looks like. And so what's the other level that could be potentially acting as support, since that was hit? It also looks like 3,500 was hit. And ETH is trading at, looks like 3,400, 30,388. It's around 3,400. The 50-day simple moving average is around 3,145. So I could see like the next level of support. We don't want to do it one above where we're currently at. What was the low that we hit on Tuesday, November 4th? 3,555. So let's do 3,100. I think that's, a level that we could be potentially, finding some support at. And I think I need to highlight these in orange because I need to adjust the alerts there, and I need to place an order there for Bitcoin. But 3,100. And let's see, below that, maybe we come down to 3,145 is that moving average. And actually, sorry, I was looking at the moving average when I was saying that, so I should probably adjust that to 3,200. 3,200 because we're currently trading around 3,400. So let's make this 3,200. And then over here, just kind of keeping this simple, 3K as well as 3.1K. So those are two levels. I'm not planning on doing anything with this. So I'm just going to leave that as red, not placing orders. But yeah, very, very, excuse me, something to consider there. RLC, that level was hit, 79. Let's see, just, and I guess, Ethereum, before I get onto RLC, could really just extend this parallel channel. We're kind of getting rejected below that, so we need to reclaim that. So hopefully we can by the end of the week. And this is just, the, renewed thesis that I have. I think that we're seeing dip buying opportunities, although a little bit, lower than what I was thinking over here. So, yeah, maybe I'm wrong with that, but maybe this is just, extended opportunity. But yeah, looking over at RLC, saw a big wick up, hit a high so far today, Saturday, of, 105 basically. So that's pretty crazy. Would like to see it go higher because, I do have some levels that I would be trimming out at like beginning at 180. And so that's really just for me, but like 100 or $1, that, seems like we were getting rejected there. Hopefully we start to go above. I assume people don't really care too much about RLC watching these videos, so I'm not going to adjust that. And 79 cents, what was the low? The low was 72.73. 56. We take a step back. That's 56. The low's over here. So I'm just going to leave it at 56. I'm going to migrate this number over here. And let's see. This was a prior additional, so I'm going to adjust this 56, make that white because I do have an order placed there. And then I'm just going to, actually, what I should probably do is I should do 180 here. So I've got all of my levels there and $1. We're currently at 93 cents. Excuse me again. I should just make this $1. So, yeah, $1. Don't plan on doing anything around that. But, I think that's a valuable level to have up there. Excuse me. The next one is going to be Doge. And that is one that, like why did I go over RLC? Because that actually went up over the past week relative to last Friday's close. So, good to pay attention to that over here. Then Doge didn't go up, but that's one that I've been adding to. So that's why I want to follow up with that one. 17 cents I had marked for Doge. We're currently at like 17.43. What was the low that was hit on November 4th, which was Tuesday? The low is 15.15 cents. Nearly got that level filled. So what I'm going to do, just like copying this, but I'm going to change that to 15 cents. Still got the orders placed on that. Oh, and something I forgot to do with Bitcoin is, oh no, I did. I've got to place that order there. So yeah. And with that being said, something I did forget to do with Bitcoin, I've got to change this to $200. Excuse me. I could mute, but I just assume that people aren't really listening to me. So if you are listening, tell me that I'm assuming wrong. And let's come back over here to Doge. 15 cents, done that. Not going to worry about it. I'm just going to continue to do the buys. Got all the orders placed. So coming back over here to the list, the next one that stands out is going to be Solana. But I'm probably going to want to migrate some of the levels over here since LRC, that one was hit. So I'll change this to, just like, over there, but I'm going to change that to 052. And then I can delete that here. Got an order placed there. We're just going to see what happens with it. And then Solana, that's what we want to talk about. And so 174 was hit. I wonder, it was 156 hit with Solana. Let's go over there. What was the low? The low was 146. And that was hit on Tuesday, November 4th. So I should make 156 pink. I should have had that, or cyan. So that's there. What was the low? 146. We're at 157. Let's say 150. Let's do 150 as a low. And I'm going to make that red because I'm just doing the daily DCAs. I'm not worrying about it. But let's see, what was the low? 146. So let's see. I will also do 146 over here. Not planning on doing anything with that, but just to kind of follow up, see if we, do put in a lower low. Hopefully not, but maybe we sweep that low. But yeah, just continuing to do the normal DCAing. Coming back over to the list, Ondo, I'm just going to update the levels over here. So we did hit 66 cents. We did hit 58 cents. So actually, I'm not going to be able to just quick and easy do that. I'm going to have to go over the chart. What was the low that we hit on November 4th? That low was about 55 cents. And what did I say over here? 58 cents. So yeah, let's just put it in 55 cents. I think that's, reasonable. The low is actually 54.916 cents. So let's just do 55 right there. Not planning on doing anything with it. If it does come down to there, I guess, would I want to? Yeah, I guess I'll make this orange because it's like I'm not buying it. So maybe I would consider, doing that. So I'll just like reset this. So I'm not worried about that. And with this, I'm going to need to adjust the alerts there. And Solana, I'll want to adjust the alerts as well. But these other ones, I guess maybe I have to adjust the alerts on Doge. I'm not sure, but RLC, LRC, I should be fine with those. Okay, so 58, let's remove that. And so we're starting good there with Ondo. The next one on the list, this one actually did go up. This is one I wish I didn't hold that much of, and that is Ethereum Classic. Did go up. And so let's just update the levels. I do have 12 right here, so I'll just, like I did over here, type that in, but I'm going to do that as 12. And that was previously over here, that would be orange, so I think I'd buy it. But did we hit 12? That's something I've got to check. Ethereum Classic, what was the low on November 4th? The low is 1355, so 12, right around there. The low's over here from October 10th, 1194. So that could be tested. So I'll want to do that. I might need to adjust the alerts, so I'll put that there. But yeah, I would consider, And then let's see, the next one is Fartcoin. Nothing went off over here, and the next one's going to be Litecoin. So I'll just update the levels here. So Fartcoin, that is going to be 20 cents. And that was, I should probably do it like this. So 20 cents, that is when I do have an order placed. So I'll do it like that. And then I can delete this level. So there's that right there. Cardano, 56 cents. We're going to have to look at the chart because I don't have any further levels to the downside. So let's take a look at, and I need to add the watermark so we can see what we're looking at. Yep, so this is Ethereum Classic. I want to look at Cardano. Broke down from that downtrend, yeah. And that looks like it's, that parallel channel looks like it's converted to resistance, pulled back. Did hit a low on November 4th, which was Tuesday, of 49 cents. And so I'm just going to say, let's keep it simple. Let's do this, kind of like copy that. I'm just going to do 50 cents. And so I will have to do that. So I update that. And maybe what I should do just to keep this simple is do that. Okay, Avalanche, $17 was hit. So what's the next level I could see this coming down to? Or what was the low from last week? And that was 15 bucks. So just to keep it simple, let's adjust this to 15. And I can, let's see, round that down. Keeping that easy. And I'm going to have to adjust the alerts. So no problems. I'm not planning on buying dips or going crazy or anything like that. Link, let's see, 14. That was also hit. So I'm going to have to do another level. The low was 1369. So yeah, I think 14 was pretty good. So what I might do is do this, do that, but then change that to 14. And then I can delete it from over here. And then we got this, paste that down. XRP, we did hit 226. Just look at the chart. What was the low? It was 206.6. And I have 190. Oh, 206 was hit. So I should have had that, like this. 206 was hit with that low. So that was, pretty spot on right there. Actually, it was not hit. It was not hit. It was nearly hit. So I lied there. I'm sorry about that. So let's, update that. Yeah, 206. I'm just going to take it from, over here, 206. That was red. But we want to keep that asterisk. And that's 2.06. Right there. Right there. I'm not planning on buying that, I don't think. Or no, that would be at 190 if we hit 190. So I'm going to make that red. And I'm going to have to adjust these levels. 180 was not hit. 190 was not hit. But 206 was not hit. But that's, migrated over. So yeah, there's that. And Litecoin, this is the next one that did, go up. So it's something to pay attention to maybe. 79. is the next level that, would get my attention. Maybe I want to buy. Let's see where Litecoin was. The low was on November 4th. The low was 79.68. So yeah, I think 79 was a good one. And so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to adjust that to, 79. Is that what I said? And actually, I can do it like this. It's a better way to do it. Keep that format. And yep, 79. So I can omit that. I got some other levels there. I'm going to have to adjust this. And then Aave, let's consider that one. And the next one that we're going to want to pay attention to, I guess, is the last three on the list. And so Aave, 200 was hit, 180 was hit. What was the low? That was 176.80. We're at like 201 now. So yeah, I mean, I think that 180 could be good because we didn't hit 176. We bounced from it. So what am I thinking with this? I want to do 180 down here. That's 180. I'm not sure if I was planning on buying that or not, but I got these levels that are a little bit lower. So I will consider those as the levels that I would get more interested, potentially consider buying at. And then Pepe, let's see, we did hit the 5 zeros and a 6. What was the low? 5 zeros and a 522. So I think that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this number over here, put it like that, and then I'm going to do asterisk, and there we go. And that's going to be red because I don't plan on doing anything with it. And let's see, don't plan on doing anything, so I don't need, I just need to do that, adjust that. And then Trump, let's see, 560, was 560 hit? No, I mean, it's been performing pretty well. It's been doing higher lows. So Trump actually looks like it's doing pretty good. And so I might just leave that alone. I might just leave that unchanged. 560. What was the low over the past week? It looks like it was hit on Wednesday. Got a low of 679. So not hitting that yet. So I didn't nail that one. But yeah, Arbitrum got 27 cents. Let's look over here. The low was 23.44. So I've got 20 cents over here. 20 cents. What did I say? 23.44. Let's change this to 24. And that's going to be red. Don't plan on doing anything with that, but I do need to adjust the alert on it. I guess I should scroll up a little bit. So Ed's not blocking them. Pengu, one that I have been dollar cost averaging with. And maybe I want to do another $7 dip buy, which I haven't noted over here. I'm going to be doing the $1 DCAs, but if I did a $7 dip buy, maybe I want to do another $7 dip buy. And so let's consider, actually coming back to this, 1.7 cents was hit, 1.8 cents was hit, so, I'm going to want to delete that. And where are we at now? That's like 1.4 to 1.5 cents. The low on November 4th, which was Tuesday, was 1.3 cents. What's the consolidation right here? It's around 1.4 cents. So I think that's where I want to put the order at. And then I'm going to make this yellow because I need to place that order. And so I'm going to make those like that so I know that I need to place them. And yeah, I guess anything else over here? No, I think that's it. Then Uniswap, it's $5.50 that was hit. Same with 516. Let's look over here. What was the low on Tuesday, November 4th? That was $4.73.5. We are currently right around $6. So I think, like 5 maybe, or, 5.16. I think that I could leave that, there. That is below us, and maybe that acts as support again. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I got that over there. Uniswap. I think that I'd probably want to just change this to 5, maybe. Let's see, what was the low? 473. Maybe I'd do like 469, and I'd consider that. 469. Yeah, maybe I consider buying there. And let's make that one orange and make this orange there. Make that one red. Not too worried about that one. Yeah, so I think that those are pretty much all the levels that I think are interesting. And coming back over to my list here, I am going to make this yellow because I need to make sure I got the money in the account, and then do a $7 dip buy for Pengu right around 1.4 cents. And so that's pretty much it for all of that. If we look at the charts over here, I'm going to need to shrink that a little bit for next week, just so you can see all of them. But what we can see is pretty much all of them are negative below that 0 line. The only ones that are above, we can see ETH up here, which it's not showing the value, but Bitcoin up 5%, as I had mentioned. ETH up 22%, again, as I had mentioned. And then Litecoin, I believe that's Litecoin, just looking at the key. Yeah, Litecoin is at 0%. So Doge dropped a little bit below. If I can highlight that, down 2%. I'm thinking, hopefully this is like a hockey stick, curves up. And but anyways, coming back to the thesis over here, the bearish memes have returned, so I think that could be a great opportunity, and to BTFD, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm continuing to feel good about that. But maybe what I'll be doing soon, probably after Thanksgiving, is I might look into Arch Public to then not just be doing daily DCAs with Bitcoin, but also potentially swinging some of that. And maybe I'd explore it with ETH as well, and other coins as well. But yeah, we'll have to see. But anyways, hopefully you found this helpful. And as always, those are just my thoughts. And if you did find them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below. Which tickers, which coins are you excited about? And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more weekly crypto corner stat stackers like this. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys in the next one.